everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name's Angela, and in today's episode, I'm going to show you how to turn that homemade mayo into the most delicious aioli with scraps that you have from around the house, and I'm going to show you 4 different kinds of my great favorites. It is so incredibly easy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with a basic, simple mayo recipe that I got from another channel. So in this recipe for the basic mayo, all you need is a whole egg, room temperature, but I've done it straight out of the fridge and I've never had any problems, mustard, and I'm gonna be using a stone ground mustard today, but you could use pretty much anything except honey mustard, because unless you're doing a honey-based aioli, that honey flavor is really gonna overpower anything else that you add to your aioli later. So just any type of like kind of neutral mustard is great. Even the yellow stuff that you put on hamburgers and hot dogs, that stuff works great too. You're also going to need some, some lemon juice. And if you don't have any and you love lime juice, you can swap out the 2 as well. I personally can't get enough garlic. If it's not burning the roof of my mouth, there's not enough garlic. So that's just me. I love garlic, but this garlic is optional. The next ingredient is either kombucha or whey off of either yogurt or sour cream or cottage cheese, or the brine from either a chutney that you're doing or a sauerkraut, anything like that. And you're gonna be basically making like a fermented mayo from it. Adding this ingredient is going to allow your mayonnaise or your aioli to be shelf stable for a lot longer than if you weren't going to put this in. So right here, I've got some whey from yogurt that I got when I was allowing my homemade cream cheese to drip down into it. So I've got some saved there. If I run out, then I've got some kombucha saved in the fridge. Also oil. So the only oil that I don't use for these are canola oil, a corn-based oil, or vegetable oil. I don't tend to like the way that it kind of makes the mayo. So I've got a couple of different kinds because I'm basically running low on everything. So I've got some olive oil, I've got some grapeseed oil, and I've got some avocado oil. I'm gonna do the mayo first, and then we're gonna go on with the aiolis. So right here is my first one. So I need a whole egg. And what I did for you guys, just to make this video faster, is I just basically cut up all the garlics ahead of time. So I peeled them and then I just cut them into smaller pieces, and I threw what I needed in each jar. So I do have a lot more garlic in this jar because that's for a specific aioli recipe that I'm going to share with you guys. But right here, I've just got 1 clove's worth of garlic, and because I decided to slice my finger with the bread knife, I'm just gonna be cracking these eggs a little weird because my thumbs is kind of out of commission right now. All right, so we've got our eggs. So the next thing is a teaspoon of mustard. Now, you don't have to be exactly precise with this recipe, which is so nice because it tastes good if you put a little bit more, if you put a little bit less. Lemon juice, that's lime, that's lemon right here. All right, so now we need 2 teaspoons of lemon juice. And like I said, if you don't have any lemon juice and you have lime, then there we go. Pour a little bit extra, it's gonna be okay. All right, so we've got our clove of garlic already in here, and now we need the 2 tablespoons worth of either whey or, like I said, kombucha, or the brine from sauerkraut. And we've got our 2 tablespoons of that in there, and we need 1 1/4 cups of oil. Now, if you are running low and you mix them up, I don't find it tastes very different. I've put in 3 types of oils. The last mayo that I actually did olive oil, avocado oil, and grapeseed oil. And I'll link the original recipe down below, because I do have to give, I forget what her name is. She runs a homestead. She's a beautiful yard. But anyways, this is where I got the original recipe from, and she definitely deserves credit because we no longer buy mayonnaise from the store anymore. They plunged this all the way down to the bottom, and I'm just gonna give it a couple of pulses. You're basically going to slowly bring it up. And that's it, mayo is done. Now, the longer that you let it sit, obviously the better tasting it's going to be. Now that I've shown you how to make the base, we're really gonna have some fun now. First one that we're going to be making is a maple balsamic onion jam aioli. This is the maple balsamic onion jam that I made a couple of episodes ago, and I will link that one down below. And I thought, well, my family can't get enough of this. So in order to kind of stretch it out, why don't I make an aioli with this? So that's exactly what we're gonna do today. We have our base for the mayo, and this is what you're gonna do every single time. You're gonna put all your ingredients in for the mayo, and now you're gonna have a lot of fun. So basically for this aioli, it's just the one ingredient that I need a spoon for. I want the flavor to be quite potent. So this worked out perfect. I've got 3 tablespoons worth of onion jam in there, and that's exactly what I need for this aioli. You're gonna take your hand blender, you're gonna throw it all the way down to the bottom, and the exact same process for blending that we did with the mayo, we're gonna do with this aioli. The only thing that you have to be worried about is when you're making the aiolis, just make sure I'm running a risk. I'm very close to the top because this is also gonna take up space while I'm blending. Just be aware, because I've done this before, about how much you're putting into the mason jar or your vessel before you get started. Because if you cram a whole bunch of ingredients into there, when you put your hand blender in there, you might not have enough room. So just be very mindful. I knew that 3 tablespoons was basically the max for this that I could do for this size jar without bumping up to the next size. I noticed a lot in the restaurants that there's this, I guess it's a phase that's like garlic parmesan or like truffle mayo, you know, to go with your parmesan fries. Well, you can make this at home now. It's just basically a base of a mayo and then fun stuff added to it. That is what aioli is. It's just fun stuff mixed in with mayo. Pretty much it. And what you can also do is I've actually frozen this and it thaws out great. I'm gonna go clean this up and get ready for the next aioli. The second one is going to be my cowboy candy and lime aioli. I made these cowboy candies, and what it is, if you've never heard of cowboy candy, is basically jalapenos in a sweet brine. I love it. We're gonna start off again with our mayo base. Now with this one, with the cowboy candy, I don't wanna go lemon, I wanna go lime with this. So I'm gonna get a good swirl going, get everything up off the bottom. And normally it calls for 2 teaspoons. I'm gonna go a little heavier with the lime juice because I really wanna bring out that lime. I'm actually gonna do 3 good teaspoons of lime. It's probably more like 4 with all the spilling. We have our base for the mayo. We've got our lime juice instead of the lemon juice. Remember back a few episodes when I showed you guys zero waste citrus? This is the lime zest, and I am going to be using it. Oh, it smells so good. So I'm gonna be using a good teaspoon and throwing that in there. And this is where you can have tons of fun in the kitchen. I find that cowboy candy, and that's just me, but it reminds me so much of just like Mexican comfort food. Like they've always got a little bit of spice in there, and it's just, especially with all this snow, I just love the warmth and coziness of Mexican food, and I love going to Mexico. But this is always so great to have on hand for either baking or even stuff like this. So I'm going to add my dehydrated lime zest to the cowboy candy. Next, we've got to put the star of the show. So I'm gonna take a tablespoon of brine and I'm gonna throw that in there.
Next, you're gonna grab the jalapenos, and you're gonna grab as many as you want because you also have to see how spicy you want this mayo to be. I'm just loading up the tablespoon as much as I can.
And you're just gonna plop them in there. And that's all you need for this recipe. Just like the mayo, we're gonna plunge this all the way down to the bottom, and that's it. And we've got cowboy candy lime aioli. I'm gonna go wash this up and I'll be right back. Number 4, this one is gonna be a sage and lemon zest aioli. Now, when I take sage from the garden, I don't blanch it, I don't anything. I wash it, then I let it dry, and I put it straight into the freezer, and I'll show you what it looks like. When I pick sage out of the garden, I keep them in these old containers. And I don't blanch them or anything. All I do is I wash them, and then I just set them on the counter to dry, and just enough that the water comes off of them. And then I put them on here, and I leave them in the freezer like that. When you pull them out of the freezer, they look like this. A little bit darker and not as pliable, but they still taste amazing, and they're way more fragrant than if you use dried sage. If you have to use dried sage, the recipe will work as well. All right, so again, we've got to make our base. Sorry guys, my camera decided to kick out on me, and I hope the quality is still as great. This is the base for our next aioli. So again, a nice big heaping teaspoon of lemon zest. Because I love this stuff so much, we're gonna put another half of it in. All right, then we're gonna throw all of this sage down into here. And then we've got it turned on. Let's plunge it all the way down. I'm just gonna clean up, and our lemon zest and sage aioli is done. Oh, it smells phenomenal. Now the last piece de la resistance aioli is a roasted chicken and garlic aioli. Now, when I tell you that you can use scraps from around the house, you can really do that. The way that I'm going to be adding the roasted chicken flavor into this aioli is none other than better than bouillon chicken broth. This one is roasted chicken base, and I love experimenting. And this is when I say, like, if you want to have some fun in the kitchen and see what kind of crazy recipes or combinations for your aiolis that you can come up with, it adds so much flavor. If you have a recipe that calls for mayonnaise in, say, a salad dressing, you can use an aioli. If you want to even just simplify it and put it on top of a burger or use it in a hot dog, or sometimes people dip fries in it. When I say have fun in the kitchen, just have fun in the kitchen. Like, come up with crazy recipes, crazy combos. Like, another good one that I wanted to show you guys, but I just don't have any, is dill. Surprisingly, I had 6 or 7 containers of dill, fresh from the garden, frozen in the freezer, and it is not even December yet, and I am fresh out. Another great combo is dill and lemon aioli. It is so good on just like scalloped potatoes or roasted potatoes in the oven, and just dip a little bit in. Oh, it's so good. Anyways, back to this guy. So, roasted chicken and garlic aioli. I'm going to use the roasted chicken from here. And if you have any roasted chicken at home, like those rotisserie chickens that you can get at the store, peel the skin off and throw the skin into here. Oh my gosh, it is so good. And you don't need to cheat with this. But I don't have any rotisserie chickens, and it's not yet time to go to the grocery store, so I have to cheat. But if you wanted to use a beef bouillon cube, you would just have to kind of break it apart a little bit so it's not like a huge clump, because your hand blender would, I know mine would struggle. Maybe if you have one of those like fancy new ones that are more powerful than this like ancient guy, you might get away with it, but just as a precautionary thing, I would just crumble those cubes up. I'm gonna be using half a tablespoon rather. Now we're gonna do our base for our mayo. This is not plugged in,
wash the outside first. And then this is a bowl of soap that I just always have on hand because I like batch cooking my aiolis. Then I unplug it. I don't throw my tea towel in there. I just give it a good shake. And there you are. And there you have it, guys. 4 amazing, amazing aiolis that are super huge favorites in our house, and a perfectly great mayo to have on hand. I know exactly every single ingredient in this mayonnaise, and I have been able to get off from buying mayo at the store. Now, the longer that you let these sit, the better flavor that you're gonna get from your aiolis. Now, the bare minimum, I would say just the day before. So if you're having people over, you can make it the night before. If you're having the people day of, try to make it as a first thing in the morning. Now, it still tastes delicious, but the lemon zest needs a little bit of time to kind of rehydrate and kind of spread out. The roasted chicken and garlic one is pretty much ready to go. And, but it's just when you're using lemon and What? Do you want to tell them something? What would you like to tell them? What do you want to tell them? What are you making for dinner? Hey? She's nuts. Do you guys want to see her? This is my sous chef. I've got 2 of them. This one is maple syrup, the one that was barking and usually barks. He's more quiet and he doesn't really get riled up until she does. That one is Zebrano. He's 9 and she's 11. And are you spun off your rocker? Are you? I wouldn't have it any other way. I think they just want to be in the video. Like I was saying, these aiolis are fantastic. Now, the longer you let them sit, the more flavor that they're going to basically have. Because when you have stuff like lemon and lime zest, I've dehydrated them. So they do take a little bit of time in order for them to rehydrate. So I would say if you're gonna have company over and you're really wanting to kind of make something for that occasion, then I would make it at least the day before. But like I said, you can easily make these as long as you're putting the whey or the sauerkraut brine or say kombucha into this. Those ingredients will not kind of change the flavor. I have a pumpkin kombucha that I actually put in my last one because I didn't have any whey. You can't taste the difference. Have fun, be creative in your kitchen, and I can't wait to see you guys soon. I really appreciate you guys stopping by my channel and watching these episodes, and I'll see you again soon. Bye guys.